Welcome back to some of the best stories from r/TalesFromTechSupport. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's take a look at the first story. It's called 60% Less. I was the technical manager of an electronics distribution company that was in the process of being swallowed up by a big multinational. It was an exciting time. Complete upgrade of the network, new servers and computers, integration into a multinational system, extra IT support staff, and I was in charge of the project from our end. In a very short time the project was completed, and would you believe it, well under the expected time, and 35% under budget. It was even fun to complete. Then the fun came to a crashing halt. In the teleconference between us and the executive in charge of IT for the company that now owned us, I was expecting a thanks for exceeding all requirements, maybe even a small bonus. Instead, I was told that the systems would all be run from the new head office, and there would only be 2 IT positions to support all 5 offices across the country. All hardware support was being outsourced. The real kicker was that the positions being offered were little more than tier 1 positions. To submit tickets to the hardware support company or to the head office support team. The salary being offered was 60% less than my current salary. I calmly asked him to confirm that he was firing 12 people and offering a pittance to the 2 who would remain. Then I simply said no, dropped my ID and keys on the desk, picked up my coffee cup and left the building. All the IT staff followed me. I never formally resigned, but I think they got the idea that I was not coming back. I got a job delivering pizza. For the 2 months it took me to find a new IT position, I still made more money than they had offered me. The next story is called Got Her Fired. I've never actually done tech support. I've always been a programmer. In the summer of 1997, and my first day of my first job, after spending 5 years at college in computer science. While the boss is showing me around, he gets an important phone call, leaving me outside with his 3 secretaries. He was always very busy and would be lost without their assistance. We strike up some conversation about our jobs, and one complains about how she has to keep track of some stuff on the server to make reports that the boss wanted daily. And it's just the most boring, tedious stuff. Eventually the boss comes back out and finishes showing me around, and I get settled in at my desk as the lead dev comes by to get me started on some work. Of course, being the bright-eyed, not yet disillusioned, early 20s computer nerd, eager to prove my worth, I didn't just want to do my job. I wanted to do it great and really impress people, go above and beyond, and be appreciated. And the complaining secretary from that morning had plopped a great opportunity to show that I'm a real go-getter right into my lap. So over my lunch break, I cooked up a simple script to collate all the information she needed for her reports, so that all she had to do was press one button and make sure the report was generated correctly. I run it by the lead dev and he okays it. I eagerly rush to tell the secretary how I've made the worst part of her job much less horrible, expecting her to be giddy at how helpful I am. The boss comes back from lunch as I'm starting to tell her, as he wants to know what I'm so happy about. As I tell them how I've automated the creation of those daily reports he wants, his face lights up like he's found the goose that lays golden eggs, while hers drops like I just took a dump in her purse. It turns out that making those reports was all she was doing. The boss had hired her for that, rather than just asking one of the devs to do what I had, because he didn't even know it was possible. That was her last day there, and I was instantly promoted from junior dev to normal dev, with a nice pay raise, for showing great initiative and saving the company the money for her salary and benefits. I guess I did get what I wanted out of it. The third story is called Remote Problem. I was working for a TV distributor with both cable and dish channels. They had their own brand of TV box/decoders. When the customer in question called in and started by saying that I had to believe him, I knew it was going to be a great call. The log showed he had called several times before. When my wife is at home, the remote control to the decoder doesn't work. Yes it does, but I'll hear you out. Inner me, I bet she takes the batteries. Your colleagues all guess that she takes the batteries, but she doesn't. I can hold the remote control and it works fine. She comes home and 10 minutes later it doesn't work anymore. I haven't let go of the control and even tried changing batteries when it stopped working, just to be sure, but it doesn't make a difference. We go back and forth for a long time, thinking of different things that could be an issue. He's being nice about my inability to help him, and though I started out thinking he's just another customer who thinks that the reply to "Did you check if the cable is connected properly?" is always "Yes, I did." I even tried 5 different cables. Even though they didn't, I quickly realize he's tech savvy and we test and discard a dozen theories. In the end, 45 minutes later, we solved it. When his wife got home, she pulled the curtains apart to let in light, and the sunlight was directly on the infrared receiver, interfering with the remote control. When his wife left, he pulled the curtains to see the TV better. They had tried to lower production cost of the new line of decoders, so the dark plastic in front of the infrared receiver was just that, dark plastic, instead of a filter to block other light. Figuring that out was the most satisfying tech support moment I've had. The next story is called New Tech Idiot. There was a desktop support engineer who applied for the role of Tech 1 and landed the role with a fantastic interview, positive attitude, and the fact that he was so much of a nerd like me. Unfortunately, we found out that he was a little bit unhinged. What's the deal with these power over Ethernet injectors? The boss got an outside company in to source the network, and they stiffed us with the most expensive brand they could find. We have to buy their PoE injectors, which are twice the price of the others. The tech, half joking, it would be cheaper to create our own. Cue to a regulator. The new Wi-Fi node has arrived. I assigned Nerdy Tech to configure it, as he was certified to work at heights to install it. I'm minding my own business, finishing off a fantastic piece of software. When the fire alarm goes off, I wait the requisite 10 seconds to see if it's a test, then lock my workstation and head out to the assembly point. Stood there already is a red Nerdy Tech, looking sheepish. I have no idea what I thought initially, but it just didn't occur to me what he could have done. I mill around waiting for a roll call, chatting to people, and hear many different rumors. In short, no one knows. The general manager is talking to the fire chief, as 4 firemen in breathing gear return and speak to them both. Bearing in mind that the manager has his back to me, I can see him lock up with anger. His arms go straight down, fists are made, and his legs stiffen. He's not happy. And then he turns to me. The fire brigade say that something in the cabinet in archives caused the fire. I want a report on my desk by the end of the day. Everything in the archives is ruined. I head back in and pull out several pieces of Chart IT kit and wiring. There's a device that is unfamiliar to me and looks homemade. I disconnect it and bring it into the office. It takes me another 30 minutes of emailing before I'm ready. Hey Tech, can you pop in here for a moment please? Sure. I drop the chart remains of a box on the table in front of him. I remove this from the cabinet. Is it yours? Yes. He looks like the bottom has just fallen out of his world. I give him 5 minutes to find a colleague to sit with him, while I phone HR and get them to listen in. For the record, you admitted that this chart box of electronics on the table, which was found in the networking cabinet, is yours? I did. It is mine. I have the photographic evidence taken before removal. There was a standard mains cable attached to it, and Ethernet cables going in and out. Can you tell me what it was for? You said that PoE injectors were expensive, so I made my own. Are you qualified for that? I have a decade of experience in electronics manufacture. I was trained in my last job, and it was part of that role. I passed this information on in my interview. Indeed, I knew this. So what did you do to make it set the rest of it in fire? HR, on the phone. Actually, can you tell us how it works? Mains power goes in and is injected along the Ethernet cable, so that it can power the device at the end. Standard stuff. PoE isn't mains power. It's somewhere around the 50 volts range, and it certainly isn't 5 amps. It melted the wire, blew up whatever was inside the box, and killed the switch it was plugged into. I don't know if the wireless point has been damaged yet. He opened his mouth to say something, but his colleague nudged him to shut him up. It also caused the thermal seals on the sprinklers to melt and the sprinklers to activate. All the documents in the archive are soaked and the remaining networking kit is waterlogged too. The company is looking at a high 6-figure sum to put right all of the damage. This constitutes gross professional misconduct. We have no choice but to fire you. You have 10 minutes to collect your belongings before security arrives. We escort you off the premises. You may not re-enter these premises, except as an invited visitor, and you are not allowed to work for the company in a current or similar capacity again. The last story is called Shouldn't Fire Me Then. This was at my first job back in IT. After a long foray into other fields, I was senior system operator for an ISP, which means 100% technical lead for everything. But the boss, we were the first 2 employees, didn't want to call me system administrator for some reason. Probably because he thought I'd bail on him with that on my resume. This happened in the week I was fired. All the documentation was stored in a subdirectory in my home directory, with a symlink in the Samba share so everybody could read it. By this point I had 2 junior sysops I was supervising, as well as a couple of PC support folks. We also built PCs and supported small networks etc., who were semi-trained to fill in for phone support for the ISP etc. The reasons I was fired weren't special. The manager was a crook, and I wouldn't play ball, ratted him out to customers, etc. What matters is the fact of it. I got fired. While I was being fired, one of the junior sysops, I call him Bob, made a phone call, and by the time I got home, I had a job offer waiting on my answering machine. Cell phones weren't universal back then. That very day, the manager logged in and saw the documentation in my home directory and assumed I'd made a copy of it, so he deleted it all. 2 days later, somebody accidentally fired off code in /home on the server that contained customer web pages. They'd wiped out about a third of the customers before they realized what was going on and stopped it. I was home enjoying my brief vacation. The new job had made me an offer and I hadn't accepted yet. I was still making my own phone calls. Then the ISP manager called me. Hey, this is manager. I am sorry to bother you, but how do we recover a backup? You don't fire your senior system operator. And with that, I hung up. There was a brief pause to laugh very hard. Then I logged onto a messenger and hit up Bob. Bob, you alone? Yep. What the heck, dude? Manager just called me. Somebody wiped half the customer directories, and we can't figure out how to restore our backup. Docs are on the Samba share, and step by step, the Samba share is empty. There's nothing there. What? There's a whole pile of docs, marked read only to the Samba user. There's no way to delete them without going into my home directory, and doing it is rude. Wait, look at my home directory. Yeah, it's not there. But now that you say that, manager said something about erasing a copy of the docs in your home directory. You wiped all your documentation, man. Okay, here's how to be the hero. Do not tell anybody I gave you this. This is thanks for the call to the new employer. Instructions to restore the document that contains the backup restoration procedure. That command will pull the backup docs back. Then you can follow them to restore anything else you need. Wait an hour, and then be the hero. Will do. Thanks, man. Enjoy the new job. I didn't, but that's another problem. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.